Sometimes it gives great pleasure to introduce certain people because of the stature of that person. And we have in our presence today and for the last week and a half a person of such eminent stature. And so we have been having a lot of fun in his presence. Swami G was born in a place just about halfway between Bangalore and Chennai. Madanapalle. I think I got it correct. And met Gurudev in 1989 and became a chick. And a dynamic chick at it. Not just... And in 1993, he joined the Vedanta course and graduated in 95 and was posted back to South India, where he ran a very dynamic Chinmaya Mission center. And in 2002, Puja Guruji sent him to Dallas, where all the successes that he had in India was again replicated in Dallas, and that center grew and grew. Chinmaya Saket grew, and today is the biggest center in North America. All by the dynamism of Swamiji. And at the same time, while he has come from a very orthodox Brahmin background and is grounded in Shastras and all of that sort of thing, and has been teaching profusely over these years, and has been building Chinmaya Mission centers and running Bal Vihar and Devi groups, and he's, as Kalka told you, he's the director of Chick West also, and all of these things. At the same time, Swamiji finds so much of time to engage in all of his great hobbies. And one of his greatest hobby is cooking. And I must say that lately there has been a tussle between Swamiji's chai and my chai. I don't know what the verdict is, but I'll tell you the verdict between Swamiji's pizza and my pizza. Swamiji's pizza is better. Swamiji is a fantastic cook, and today I discovered that he is a fantastic cricketer because we made most runs today in our cricket match. Okay, so we are very, very delighted to have Swamiji, and he's come primarily to help with the Vedanta course which is going on here. And we thought that before he leaves also, he should get an opportunity to meet all of you. At the end, we'll have dinner at the dining hall there, and you'll all have an opportunity to do your namaskar, to meet Swamiji, to say Hari Om and all that during the dinner time. So please do not leave without meeting Swamiji, okay? It is indeed a great Tulsidas Ji right, you know, to put for your eyes to land on saints is the greatest blessing. Nayanan hi sant daras nahi dekha, he says, lochana mora pank kar lekha. Like those eyes that have not feasted themselves on saints, those eyes are like the eyes on a peacock feather. Useless eyes. So at the end, not only now you're seeing Swamiji, you'll get to meet also Swamiji. So you get darshan, and if you touch his feet, you'll get sparshan also. So please meet him at the end. All right, we are delighted to have Swamiji. Let us also take the opportunity to recognize in our presence Sri Raviji, Trinidad and Tobago's most outstanding Hindu in my estimation.
Very rare few opportunities where you come into an environment wherein you seamlessly are soaked in love. I find such presence here. if somebody were to ask me back in US, I know if this gets recorded and be posted there, I'll be in trouble. If somebody were to ask me in US, that Swami Ji, would you like to be in US or back in India? I would say, give me a ticket now and I'll go back. But after coming here, I'm little debating. I'm debating not between US and Trinidad, debating between India and here. I think everything matches. From the road to the traffic. The day I arrived, our President Ji and Treasurer Ji and Vice President Ji came to pick me up, and one fellow cut us and said, it feels exactly like in Bombay. And what to talk of the weather? I think it was designed, I was checking the weather today. The day I leave, rains will begin. Up until then, it was, I think, catered for my pleasure. I love hot, hotter, hottest. Not just the weather, even the peppers. In Narada Bhakti Sutra, it is said, when we go to temples, we go to Tirtha Kshetras, it is to purify us, purify ourselves. But when a Mahatma and his presence is seen, Tirthi Kurvanti Tirtha Kshetraha. Who is a Mahatma? You don't need to go visit a Tirtha Kshetra. You come into their presence and you're soaked in that purity. Such was my feel, such was my experience in the presence of Swami Ji and all of you. Thank you for having me, Swami Ji. It feels really amazing to see such great presence that you have built here. And of course, chai I will still fight for. Let us begin with 3 Oms, Sahana Vavatu and Guru Brahma, and then we will get into this Prahalada Charita. सहना ववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. In the world that we live in, wherein we have lot of models and very few role models. To have someone as a role model, if they are our peers, one needs to have immense amount of depth, understanding and clarity to find that inspiration from a fellow peer. Usually that kind of comparison leads to competition, leads to a lot of confusion. So if we have to have someone as a role model, as an ideal, it should be someone so pure and high that the moment we think of such individual, inspiration automatically comes forth as a fountain in our heart. In the spiritual relevance, for my own personal study, understanding and growth, I find the following three as my ideal. Nachiketa from Kathopanishad, Dhruva and Prahlada. Three amazing stalwarts in their own accord. And the best part is their life, which is worth studying, which is worth remembering, which is worth repeating again and again when we find that inspiration lacking. Such one is the Prahalada Charita, glory of Prahlad Ji. Why do we have the need to go through these various scriptures? Shruti, Smriti, Itihasa and Purana. Especially the Itihasa and Purana, that which is given as an abstract knowledge in the Shruti, and that which is given in the Smriti as a code of conduct. How does one lead one's own life based on these scriptures of Shruti and Smriti? We always would love to find if there is somebody who has lived such an inspired life, wherein in spite of various experiences that could have pulled them down, and yet they found that courage, that fortitude, that presence of mind, that equanimity within to take what life gave as experiences and molded themselves to be someone worth not just mentioning, but worship worthy. In today's world, we find that research, or in the name of research, we are only trying to find excuses as to why we cannot even be a human being. We blame it on genetics, and that's the easiest thing to do. Genetically predisposed. Why are you like this? What to do? Manufacturer's defect. I am genetically predisposed this way. Because I have gone through my early childhood, which was traumatic, that I am messed up here. I have developed psychological problems. My environment was very bad. I was bullied in the school, I was bullied in the college, I was constantly tortured by various angles, and that is how I ended up being who I am. Instead of taking the onus, instead of taking the responsibility square and clean on our own shoulders, and to find how we can grow, we use the pretext of research to substantiate why I cannot grow, why I should not grow, why there is no possibility of growth, which beats everything that the scriptures have been pointing at, that we do have that freedom to grow. And one such example is this Prahalada Charita. If we talk of genetic predisposition, in what family was he born in? He was born in a Asura family. So what is the genetic predisposition of him? Asuric qualities. The best of the bad qualities that you could list. That was the environment that he was born in. He chose to raise above that. His own biological father not just tortured him, he applied everything that could be invented. You know, when there are some dark deeds done by thugs, they often refer to a black diary of all their bad deeds. The first black diary was created by his father. He invented methods to find how somebody can be tortured. And the aim of the torture was not just to torture, but to eventually kill his own child. Growing up in such a challenging environment, he chose to use that environment to better himself rather than to turn himself bitter. That choice we do have. Instead of blaming the situation, blaming the surroundings, blaming the environment, blaming our environment, blaming our elders, blaming our government, blaming foreign policies, internal policies, you can name it. The list is unending. But in spite of all these overwhelming situations, Prahlada made a choice to grow over and above them. Because at every crossroads of our life, every experience that we go through, we have the freedom of choice not to choose what kind of experience that I go through, but whatever be the experience that I go through and come out as a better person, not as a bitter person. And while doing so, inspire the rest of them who may be in such environments also to grow to such stature. And what is the best part of his life? That all this he accomplished when he was barely 5-6 years old. Kabir Das ji says बड़ा हुआ तो क्या हुआ, जैसे पेड़ खजूर. Khajur, the date palm tree, it grows tall. But when you need a shadow, when you need some shadow to protect you from that hot sun, shadow of a palm tree is almost negligible. And when you are thirsty or when you are hungry and you want to pluck that fruit, where is that fruit? Phal lage ati dur. The fruits are hanging up somewhere there teasingly that you can't even reach. So it is not about physically growing up. That opportunity to grow unfolds itself from the very moment we start making choices, irrespective of what age we are. So this opens up in the 7th canto of Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam, an amazing compilation by Vedavyas Maharaj. He has given all our literature of Purana, 18 main Puranas and 18 Upapuranas. Of every deity, every god and goddess that we have, there is a Purana to refer to. Of these, my favorite one is this Bhagavat Mahapurana. Of that, the 7th canto talks about Prahlada. The opening scene, because to understand the Puranas, if you have watched a movie called Inception, it is like that. It is a story in a story in a story in a story where it refers to some other story and that continues with a story in a story in a story, and then you have to remember the link where it all began. So the opening scene of this 7th canto is Yudhishthira asks Devarshi Naradji. And Naradji, Naram Dadati Yahasaha, the one who bestows upon wisdom on those who approach him. He is often wrongly portrayed as the mischievous one. He is the one who has given this knowledge to various Mahatmas. So Naradji was there in that Rajasuya Yajna. Shishupala and Dantavakra protest that Bhagavan Krishna has been selected for the Mukhya Yajman Puja. This is not right. They should have stopped by there. But then their personal jealousy, hatred towards the Lord was so strong that they would not stop. They chose the choicest words of Gali, cuss words. Bhagavan Krishna had promised his aunt, who happens to be Shishupal and Dantavakra's mother, that day when they in one sitting finish 100 galis, they would have finished their tolerance level. Up until then, there were various situations wherein they had abused Bhagavan, but never to a point wherein they made a century. Bhagavan warned them in between. Beta, you have reached to 60. I think you can stop now. the more Bhagavan requested them to stop, they feel more inspired. We usually do the Namavali of Bhagavan. They are 108. We call them as Ashtottara Shatanamavali. And they are usually the praises of the Lord. Here, the Ashtottara Shatanamavali that these people had written, specifically choosing all the hatred that they had, and they crossed their 100. Even at 99, Bhagavan asked them, you don't need to complete your century today. This has been a long test match. We don't need to do an IPL today. Please don't. They went ahead, finished their century. Bhagavan annihilated both of them in one stroke with his Sudarshana Chakra. And there, Yudhishthira sees that Jivatma of Sishupala and Dantavakra coming and merging into that Lord. Yudhishthira is confused. How can this be? Is it even possible? That somebody praising the Lord out of devotion, I can understand merging in the Lord. But these are someone who have been abusing the Lord. How can this ever happen? There, Naraji says, a very beautiful concept. Kenapi upayena manaha Krishne niveshayet. It does not matter with what emotion that we invoke, whatever be the invoked emotion. The point being that we think of that Lord through all these emotions. And he lists them out. Kamat, dveshat, bhayat, snehad, yadha, bhaktireshvare manaha. Snehat, bhaktihi, bhayat, dveshat, kamat. And he gives examples for each one of them. He says, Gopyaha kamat bhayat kamsaha dveshatcha chaidyadayaha nrupaha sambandhat vrishnayaha snehat yuyam bhaktya vayam vibho. Gopis of the Vrindavan, their bhava was out of the desire to be always associated with the Lord. Kamat. They had transformed, divinized their kama bhava into that which can be related to the Lord. Kamat. Kamsaha. And we all know what Kamsa did. He was so scared. He was like a little kid who would not like to be in darkness. Because somebody had told him that Krishna is dark. And that darkness, when he would see, he would get scared that maybe it is Krishna lurking out somewhere. He was scared. So out of fear, what he did was constant tapas, constant thinking of that Lord. Kamat, bhayat, dveshat cha. We can think of the Lord out of dvesha. Sambandhat snehat vrishnayaha. All the Vrishni Vamshajas, those who are Bhagavan's relatives born in the same lineage, they had immense love for the Lord as he was their best friend. They all found that oneness with the Lord. Yuyam, all the sages and rishis. Here Naraji is saying, people like me. All of us, out of bhakti, we relate to that Lord. But the point is that each one of them, whatever be that emotion was pure, concentrated 100%. Whether it was bhakti, it was 100%. Dvesha was 100%. If we can afford to have dvesha, bhaya or kama for the Lord, Bhagavatam says, I challenge you to have it. But what is the intermediary? Those who choose bhakti, their path and the goal are enjoyable. Those who choose any other one, their path, their goal may be amazing, but their path may not be enjoyable. So you choose. If you want to complain about that Lord and constantly be complaining about that Lord, do it 100%. We do half-baked job everywhere. I was just coming back today from, on that highway. There was a segment of it blocked. Instead of repairing the entire patch of the road, they were just cleaning that particular pothole and filling it and patching it up. One small rain and it will all come out again. Our efforts are like that. Constant patchworks. Never a thorough job at anything. He says, these bhava can help if it is 100% pure. If you want to hate that Lord, hate 100%. But the method, the process is not going to be easy. The end goal may be enjoyable. Then Yudhishthira says, hey Naraji, you talked about the Kamsa and the Shishupala and Dantavakra. Why were they killed in that Rajasuya Yaga? Oh, that is a long story. Naraji didn't want to get into that story. Yudhishthira says, hey Bhagavan, Vidvesho dayati putre kathamasin mahatmani bruhi me Bhagavan yena. Please, don't just leave me like half in there. You just mentioned it. He says, but my interest is not to know about this Shishupala and Dantavakra, but I want to learn more about their earlier birth, where there is a mention of Prahlada. Prahladasya achyutatmata. Can you narrate that story of Prahlada? When you get a good story narrator, however old we are, we become like kids. Suddenly we drop everything, and then that is what happens when we gossip, right? If there is somebody who is ready to deliver an amazing juicy piece of gossip, come on, tell. Similarly, when somebody has that bhava of giving this bhakti rasa in the most beautiful, enchanting way, we don't want to miss an opportunity. Yudhishthira was like that small kid. So I said, okay, I'll tell you the story. Probably, this was not the first time Yudhishthira was asking, and Naraji it was not the first time that he was narrating this story. And yet, both of them are eager to listen and speak about it, because it gives them an opportunity to think of that Lord through this story. Today we were just covering that aspect. Tat kathanam, tat prabodhanam, anyonyam, tat shravayati. If that opportunity comes, that one would not give up. Especially in talking about Lord's Charita. He says that Diti, Kashyapa Mahamuni had 2 wives. So as the story starts, long ago, Pura Ekasmin Kale, and that is how every story starts. Kashyapa Mahamuni had 2 wives, Diti and Aditi. Those who are born to Aditi are called Adityas, And those who are born to Diti are called Daitya. So don't try to imagine Daitya meaning that they have 2 horns and fangs and tongue. They were not genetically modified people. They were like you and me. To this Diti, there were these 2 sons born, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Very beautiful names. I mean, don't name your children or grandchildren. That wouldn't be right. You'll understand why I called it a beautiful name. Hiranyaksha. Hiranya, wealth and gold. Aksha, the one who saw an opportunity of making wealth and gold in every opportunity. So who is this? I would interpret that Hiranyaksha is the representation of capitalistic mindset, where they have the opportunity to see for wealth, gold and comfort in everything that they work in. But his brother was 1 step ahead of him, because he was only Hiranyaksha. He knew only how to hoard and earn. What was Hiranyakashipu? Kashipu meaning the one who had enjoyed that Hiranya which was acquired. It was not just acquired, but he knew how to enjoy it also, indulging to the maximum. That was Hiranyakashipu. And these 2 brothers plundered the world. Wherever there were resources, they wanted to grab it. And Hiranyaksha, his eyes fell on this earth and he wanted to grab this entire resource for himself. And Bhagavan came in the form of the Varaha avatar and killed that Hiranyaksha. Now this Hiranyakashipu is feeling bad. Before he comes to his mother, he calls his lieutenants, his friends. And somehow you see this, that whenever there is a crooked-minded fellow, birds of same feathers flock together. And they were all like experts in creating all kinds of restlessness in the world. Different kinds of methods and means that they had acquired. So he gathered them all. He gave the instruction. He gave the instruction to these people saying, in the list of them, there are about 15-20 of them. Each one expert in plundering the world. And what is the instruction given? Tasmin kute hite nashte kritta mule vanaspatau tavadyata bhuvam yuyam viprakshattra samedhitam. This Vishnu claims himself to be the great Lord. And there are these people that even worship him through various processes of puja, yaga, havan, and they maintain gurukulas, they maintain ashramas, they worship cows. So if we want to disturb him, go destroy all these. Wherever there are cows and cows worship, go destroy them. Wherever there are gurukulas, go destroy them. Wherever there is yaga, yajna, puja karma, destroy them and kill all these people who have been indulging in it. That will irritate that Vishnu and he will come out. And when he comes out, I'll snatch him up and finish him once and for all. Having given this instruction, then he goes back to his sister-in-law and mother. There, if you remove from Bhagavatam Hiranyakashipu uvacha. This is what Hiranyakashipu said. Remove that statement and read it. It seems like it is taken like cut and paste from Bhagavad Gita. He is talking of that sacred knowledge and wisdom to soothe the pain and agony of his mother who has lost her son, to soothe the pain of his sister-in-law who has lost her husband. The message that he gives is like as though just from the scriptures. What is the crux of this message? The crux of this message, he says, we are all limited by our gunas. But the guna is of the sharira, mana and buddhi. That who is enlivening is aja nitya tattva. Second chapter Bhagavad Gita. Probably this is why they say devil quoting scriptures. And literally so. And after having given this message to his mother and his sister-in-law, what does he do? He goes to do tapas. What is the main intent of this tapas? Everything contrary to what he just gave a message as. To find eternity through this body. So one thing is to be understood. The one who speaks on scriptures, quotes scriptures, and behaves contrary to that scripture, what are they to be recognized as? Nothing less than Hiranyakashipu, nothing less than a Daitya Asura. So where is that Asura? You don't need to answer me, think. It is not that we don't understand the scriptures. We don't apply it where it is necessary. We don't internalize it. It is that opportunity to internalize that even Hiranyakashipu could have become a Mahatma. But then what does he use all his tapashakti? Therefore I said that just doing penance is not sufficient. The intent behind doing that penance is also a necessity to understand. That intent can be sattvic, the intent can be rajasic, the intent can be tamasic. See, when I am talking about this, this whole story seems very distant. What was his effort? What was his intent? To see that this body is shashvata. This body is eternal. Have you ever seen the TV shows and other things on the TV? I'm sure you have, right? When I see TV, I'm more interested to see the advertisements in between rather than the different kinds of soap operas that are displayed. Because seeing the advertisement, it gives us the pulse of that country. See, those who are back in India, what are the advertisements focused on? Your skin is dark. Apply this cream and you become white. So I moved to US about 15 years ago. I thought they should be having that pride of being white. I come here, every strip mall has a tanning center. Seems like nobody is happy being who they are. The one who is dark wants to become white. The one who is white wants to become dark. And one more hilarious part of this whole advertising business. They sell these creams, lotions. And what is the claim? That you will become younger by 5 years. Have you seen such creams? Have you heard of such creams? What is the anticipated, intended effort there? somehow or the other to maintain this body in such a way that it looks eternally youthful. But what is the fact of this body? It never remains in the same state. In a way, those who have the mindset of trying to retain that eternal youth through the body, who are we? See, in Satya Yuga, there was one Hiranyakashipu for the entire period. In Kali Yuga, it is redistributed into the entire humanity. Where is this Hiranyakashipu? In Satya Yuga, it was big Hiranyakashipu. Here we are chota mota Hiranyakashipus all over the place. Because we are also trying to be eternal. So there were a group of youngsters in my car I was driving, and somebody in the back was laughing. So I turned and I said, "What are you laughing?" "Nothing, Swami." When they say nothing, you know that there is something. I said, "What?" "Sitting right behind you, the light is shining right on that area and reflecting." "You are balding and becoming old, Swamiji." I said, "Try if you can stop." Because it is Sharira Dharma. And to be contrarily expecting that Sharira Dharma to be maintained as eternally youthful is the effort of Hiranyakashipu. So Hiranyakashipu prays to Lord Brahma, and Brahmaji appears. Now Brahmaji, whenever he gives, Brahmaji and Shivji, whenever they give any kind of vara, any kind of boon, Bhagavan Vishnu has to remind them, "But don't put me in a very tight spot. You always go there and give out boons. I have to go fix it later." So this time Brahmaji went with Sapta Rishis, the 7 eternal Rishis. Remember, Brahmaji has 4 heads, right? One head is facing Hiranyakashipu. All the 7 are standing behind Brahmaji, but his other 3 heads are facing them. I find that very hilarious. Why, you will see it. So Hiranyakashipu says, "Bhagavan, I have done this sincere effort to find that eternity. Bless me, give me the boon that I will never ever die." So Brahmaji looked at him and said, "That ain't working now. I am not going to give you that boon. That is against the law of creation." Hiranyakashipu immediately said, "I knew you would say this. I have come up with a formula. Give me a boon that I should not be killed by either the human or the animal." So immediately Brahmaji with his other 3 heads consulted the 7 standing there. I think the business of CPS started there. What do the CPS do? That whatever are the laws given, they try to find a loophole so that their customer can save. So Brahmaji also had the CPS right behind him. He quickly asked, "Can we give this boon?" So they quickly checked out everything and said, "Yes, there is a loophole in there." Brahmaji said, "Tathastu." "Neither during the day nor during the night." Brahmaji looked at them and said, "Tathastu." "Neither up nor down." This is a little confusing. What do you say? He said, "Oh, go ahead. There's a loophole." He had about a list, and that list was approved. The blessings were given. While this was happening, his penance was happening, his wife, Hiranyakashipu's wife, was in danger. Because Indra thought that this was an opportune moment to attack the kingdom of Hiranyakashipu, because he had taken up the Indra Loka. So he regained it back, and he was about to slay Hiranyakashipu's wife, who was pregnant with Prahlada. Narad Ji comes in. He said, Narayana, is this even right of you, O Indra, to do it? She is just a lady. She is just carrying. How can you even think of such? And he convinces him to spare her. And this is a very important, beautiful aspect. As parents, do we want our children to have amazing qualities like Rama, Krishna, or all these great saints? Oh, we want them to be more than that. But do we prepare ourselves to be qualified to invoke such great qualities in our children? It requires tapas. This lady was taken to Naradji's ashrama, and in that ashrama, while she was carrying Prahlada in her womb, she would listen to all the satsanga. In fact, it is even mentioned that she would go chant Sahana Vavatu and go to sleep. And when would she wake up? So sleeping in satsanga is not new. It used to happen then also. But there was somebody who was, when you are stating something, you agree with it and you say, There was somebody agreeing with what Naradji was saying, and Naradji quickly understood it was not the mother, it was the baby in the womb. There have been a lot of experiments done on this. What we expose our unborn child, it has an impact after they are born. That samskara is laid down even when before they are born. And as a mother, if we are reading Sidney Sheldon or watching some soap opera, I hear that there are a lot of Indian channels also here. Kyunki saas bhi kabhi bahu thi, and such things. Watching all the action thrillers, car chases. When the child is born, what is the impression that the child has had for 9 long months? Poor fellow did not even have a choice to choose which channel. That is why after they are born, they don't give you a chance of which channel to put. Because that samskara, that kind of impression goes in while they are still young. And this Prahlada received that knowledge from Naradji while he was still in the womb. And now Hiranyakashipu, receiving that boon, comes back, finds his wife delivered this Prahlada. He is doubly happy. With his invincibility, he re-establishes his kingdom. And right within that perimeter of his kingdom, he creates a Gurukula. The Daitya's Guru, he sends his sons, Shanda and Amarka, very hilarious characters. They said, now you will teach all the Daityas and their children in this Gurukula. So he established a Gurukula for their own children. And in that Gurukula, he enrolled Prahlada. Prahlada, go study in this school. One day, Gurukula, it is not like going daily to the school and coming back home. You stay there. One day, Prahlada came back. It must have been a long weekend. So he came back home. Hiranyakashipu was happy seeing him. He picked him up, put him on his lap. I said, Bho Vatsa. And he hugged him. And he said, tell me something that has impressed you in your school. What did you learn? See, what I have seen in Balavihar is when the parents ask after Balavihar is done, up until 4th or 5th grade, you have to plug them up. Otherwise, they would not stop. Mommy, no, what happened today? Constantly blabbering out. Then comes middle school. Parents ask, what happened today in the class? There is one standardized answer. Nothing. Many of the parents worried even ask me, Swamiji, are you teaching anything to the kids or not? Because we are only getting the answer, nothing. By the time they come to their high school, that nothing is also stopped. They only stare. Did I ever answer this question? Why do you even ask? If pestered, the stare becomes a glare. Now Prahlada was in the first mode. So as soon as the dad asked, Prahlada, Father, this is what I have learnt. He does not say where. This is what I have learnt and this has impressed my mind. Prahlada Uvacha, this comes in the 5th chapter of 7th canto if you are trying to follow. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnoho Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanivedanam. See, in Ramcharitmanas, the Navada Bhakti is given as a dialogue between Bhagavan, Ramchandraji and Sabari. Here, that same, or little different, but still it is called the Navada Bhakti. That Navada Bhakti is given here by Prahlada as an answer to his father's question. Smaranam Kirtanam Vishnoho. After hearing that third word in that sentence, his brain stopped. Hiranyakashipu did not listen to anything else. He turned around. He dropped his son. He turned around and called for the teachers. What have you been teaching my son? You are teaching him about my enemy, for whose death, for whose vanquishing, I have been putting efforts all over the place. You are teaching my son about that? Shanda and Amar, we never taught anything like that. They said, let us bring the other students, they will be the proof for you. So they bring other students. So what was happening, that whenever these teachers were outside, between the class, between the sessions, Prahlad ji used to run his own satsang with these kids. He used to gather them all up. Just because our ancestors have done something wrong, we don't need to do the same thing. Let us learn to evolve. And he had taught this sutra to them. And when the proof was asked, what did you all learn? They were not fearful of that environment, and they said, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. And Hiranyakashipu flared up. And for next few semesters, this kid Prahlada was not sent back to the school. What happened? He tried every method to kill his own son. And yet, when he did not change, so Prahlada stands in front of his father and asks Prahlada, "At least now are you scared?" He says, "No. Bhagavan will protect. What your Vishnu will come through this pillar, if he has to." And with all might and anger, right in that palace, there was a pillar. And he hits with his mace on that pillar. And there comes Bhagavan Narasimha, the most terrifying form. And it says, he plays around with Hiranyakashipu, tossing him here and there, like an eagle would toss its prey around. So Hiranyakashipu was tossed around. And actually Bhagavan was waiting for the right loophole in the list of things that he had asked. When he found the right opportune moment, he picked him up, neither inside nor outside, neither up nor down. He himself was neither human nor an animal. And all that in between loopholes, fulfilling all of them, Hiranyakashipu was vanquished. But Bhagavan in that Narasimha Avatara is Ugra Murti, is a very terrifying form. If you read the description given, the kind of description that is given by Vyas Bhagavan here, is a very graphic description given. So all the devas have assembled. So they go to Shivji and say, "Go speak to him, let him be little, pacified." Shivji goes and asks Brahmaji, "You were the one who gave him the boon, now you go talk to Vishnu." Now Brahmaji scratches all his foreheads. He says, "You know what? Lakshmi ji is here." They all go to Lakshmi ji. "Lakshmi ji, your husband, please." Lakshmi ji thinks for a while and says, "I will not go." See, many mothers know this trick. When the husband is angry, they send the children, "Go talk to your dad." So she fetches Prahlada and says, "Vatsa, go talk. He took this avatara for you, go talk." And Prahlada fearlessly walks in front of the Lord. He's sitting on that throne and he's still heaving with that anger. And as soon as he sees Prahlada, Bhagavan picks him up, places him on his lap and says one of the most beautiful statements. He says, "Bho vatsa bhadra bhadrante." Hope now you feel secure enough that there is nothing else tormenting you. And he says, "Kshanardam me, for a half a moment I got delayed coming in rescuing you. Please, Kshantavya." The Lord himself is telling his bhakta that please forgive me for that little delay that happened. Now that I have come, ask for a boon. All this story that I have been narrating is to come to this portion. When Prahlada is asked to ask for a boon, he first says, "Bhagavan, sitting in your lap, what else do I need? I don't ask for a boon. No, for my pleasure, please ask something. Not for your sake, but for my pleasure, ask something." There, Prahlada says, these are the words to remember. This comes in the Sri Bhagavan in the 9th chapter. He says, Prahlada bhadra bhadrante pritoham te surottama varam vrinishva bhimatam kamapurosmyaham nrinam. Hey Vatsa, ask of a boon. Then Prahlad ji says, Mamam pralobhayotpatya. Bhagavan, don't even give my mind an opportunity of thinking of a desire to be fulfilled. As even a little room given for it, it will start developing layers and layers of it. I don't want to get entrapped in that again. I don't know how many millions of lives that I have lived. I have done with such desires. I have no such desires. Narasimha Bhagavan says, as an avatar, I have to give you a boon. Will you please ask for? Now, compelled by Bhagavan's request, this is what Prahlada ends up asking. The 10th chapter, for your reference if you want to read it, there he says, Bhagavan, if at all I have to ask of a boon, can I ask you of forgiveness on behalf of my father as a boon? Can you forgive my father? All that which he has done unto me, all that he has done against you, can you forgive him on both accounts? Everybody is apt looking at that Prahlada saying this. Instead of saying that, Lord, thank you for killing my dad, he had been such a wretched fellow. He says, no. Can you forgive him? So Bhagavan wants to make sure that he heard it right. Then why do you ask? Why do you ask for forgiveness for your dad? Then Prahlada says, what he did unto me, get this message very, very sharp. What he did unto me was the result of my prarabdha phala. He was just a messenger delivering my prarabdha phala to me. After being tortured for years with an effort to be killed, what does this little fellow say to God? Forgive my father because he was just a messenger who delivered my past karma phalas in this way. And if he had not delivered what he had delivered as my experience, I probably would not have intensified my love for you. And because of going through such experience, I have intensified my love for you, and the result of my father's such mean methods, I am sitting on your lap. If somebody's oppression leads me to sit on Bhagavan's lap, was that a curse or was that a boon? I consider it as a boon. Therefore, what he has done, do not hold it against him. Forgive him. This is called Bhakta Lakshana. Just sitting in front of the Lord and constantly bothering that Lord with your bhajans. At least that is what I think of my bhajans. I may be good at cooking, but I cannot compete with him for singing. Definitely not even in my weirdest dreams. Because once I was singing and Guruji came in, And he looked at me and he said his voice should be given on a radio. I said, what is the catch there? I said, at least there we can turn it off. So sitting in front of that Lord and constantly singing or doing aartis, and that may be the method, but what is the actual lakshana of that bhakta? That whatever is thrown at us as our experience as it unfolds, we take it as his prasada. Without reacting, without rejecting, without revolting against it. If we say we trust in God, if we say that I am a bhakta, I am a devotee of that Lord, that prasada buddhi has to be seen through in every aspect of our life. Whatever be the experience, that this is the experience that is unfolding and this is what Bhagavan has presented. What is it that I have to make use of this experience to grow? How do I use this opportunity to grow? He did not compare himself with his other brothers. He had 3 other brothers. Total there were 4 siblings. So my dad, he tormented me. Other brothers, he used to be very, playing favorites to them. He never even compared. He said, this is my lot of prarabdha. And I will face it. And he used that opportunity to grow to become such a great devotee. That his being born as an asura was not stopping him to become a devotee. We may be born with golden spoons. Don't we know of many people who have squandered it away? We are born as human. We are born with such beautiful opportunities. Has anybody here been tormented like Prahlada was tormented? So stop complaining about life. When he could handle it with such aggressive oppression around him, with what little that we have, can't we change our mindset to be as that devotee, that everything that is unfolding is taken as his prasada alone? So Bhagavan then blesses him saying, Hey Vatsa, this is the sweetest thing that anybody has ever asked me. This was a very unique boon that you have asked. And that too not for yourself but for your father. As long as this creation exists, you will be remembered as the greatest devotee of mine. See, we say that we love God. How often do we get the opportunity to hear that Lord say that, man, I love you? And here is that devotee who got that from the Lord himself. Such was the greatness of this Prahlada. There even Bhagavan says to him, don't worry about your father. 21 generations before, whoever has done whatever since, all of them have been given a diplomatic immunity. All of that has been wiped out clean. Because of your devotion, because of your ability to grow out of it. Just by one person changing, you could change the entire environment. That is the glory of Prahalada. That is the inspiration that one needs to find. Not buckling down with little experience that happens, called life, and start complaining. See, whichever movie, whichever situation, when there is God shown, our bhakti ends only with a list of demands. And when we do Jai Jagadish Hare Arati, there's a continuous list of demands. Bhagwan, give me this also, take care of this also. Every God is standing in this position. What does this mean? He says, stop, I have already given all of that. When will you start using all of that? Therefore, in order to develop that bhakti in one's own heart, I'll tell you this experience and I'll stop for today. When I had met Gurudev, I don't know, I had a different kind of a relation. That I would impose my questions on him, he would patiently answer them. And one fine day I decided, I had just finished reading the autobiography of a yogi. So I had come with all these notions. So I said, Swami Ji, tomorrow you are giving me Diksha. He raised his eyebrows and said, okay. I was still in Yuva Kendra. So I gave him the time also. Tomorrow morning, 4 o'clock, Brahma Muhurta Kala, I am coming. And I went next day morning with a puja thali and water and all the arrangements that were required. I said, for getting my Diksha, I have to do your Pada Puja. I said, okay. He put his feet there. I did whatever puja little I knew, I did the puja. So I was expecting that he would put his hands on my head or do something, and now I'll feel spiritually awakened. I had gone with a lot of imaginations. Said, now give me Diksha. And he looked at me and he said, find biographies and autobiographies of great Mahatmas and devotees and read them continuously. I felt such letdown. Because I had gone with a lot of hopes that he will do this and that, and suddenly, like in Paramahamsa Yoganandaji's life, there is a transforming moment. There will be a transforming moment in my life. I was so disappointed that I stomped out. And for next about 6-7 months, I would not respond to his mails, I would not talk to him. So finally he was in the city that I was. I refused to go see him. So he sent somebody to pick me up so that he could meet me. I said, is your anger now reduced? Look at his compassion. I did not understand the beauty of that message until I went to that Vedanta course. And that is when I realized that the abstractness of this scripture, what the scripture cannot communicate because of its abstractness, it is through the life of these devotees that we can grasp that which is abstract in the most tangible way. That would leave us inspired. So let us find that Prahalada within our own heart and let that Lord remove that Hiranyakashipu within our own bosom and make this his abode to stay. May that Prahlada be invoked in each one of us. Thank you. Hari Om. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Swami G.